Okay, so I'm not really an options person. You want to learn how to do options. I mean, you gotta I'm probably not the best guy to go about asking this, right? But we are planning, something for rather you I think you guys heard of this, right? We're planning something for you guys to kind of learn options about, but that's gonna take some time. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. So, but something's gonna come, all right? But so for me, I don't trade options. I think the reason why I don't like options is because of the time decay factor, right? For those guys who don't know, when you play options, right? When you trade options, okay, let's just say, for example, you buy an option contract over here, all right? You buy an option contract over here. Second, uh, let's just say you guys buy an option contract over here, okay? And this is the time for the day, all right? So if let's say, right, let's say you buy calls, right, and you're supposed to get the price to go up for your calls to profit. But if let's say instead of going up, what the price does is that it just do this all the way throughout the day. It goes up and down. It doesn't really break out. It just consolidates or maybe even like goes down here but comes up, stuff like that. Um, as the day goes by, the value of your contract becomes down like that. And if you buy zero DTE, at the end of the day, your contract becomes $0. Right. So if imagine if you spend $100 over here for your own contract, right? At the end of the day, this is going to become zero. So basically, you lost 100% of your of whatever you put in, right? So um, there are different ways you can go about countering this by buying time on your contracts, right? But sometimes if you buy time on the contract, then you have to be super accurate, and whatnot, right? You see, for example, right now, if I want to say I'm gonna be buying NVIDIA. All right, NVIDIA contract calls, right? Long term, I'm buying it for next year options, right? And if next year there's a financial crisis and whatnot, then I'm cooked. Everything drops, right? And I'm dead, right? There's no recovery anymore, right? And you remember when you lose options, you will easily lose 100% of what you put in. So I don't. That's the reason why I don't really like options because you're not only against the chart, right? You're also against time, and I like my odds better if I have less things to be against, right? So yeah, I mean, I think options is very good in terms of amplifying profits. Okay, um, but you gotta, as I always tell you guys, right? There's always two sides to a coin. You can make very big money in options. You can also lose very big money in options, right? There is no going to be there's only benefits here. There's no like equal amount of like detrimental effects to it. All right, I'm not sure what's the reason why you want to learn to do options, but if it's because you're seeing all those huge P&L and whatnot, um, then or if you guys are planning to want to learn options because you guys are seeing the huge P&L and whatnot, I mean, please think about the what happens if it doesn't work out instead. You got to understand that, right? You got to understand that too. You got to accept that too. Okay, so is there any way on the trade plans we can have an entry instead of just 10.5? Because I understand you're free. No, James, I am not. When I say 10.55 break, I'm not inside, right? I'm not inside until I wait for the breakout. I think this is something that you got a mistake right there. Like, look, right? If let's say I didn't add this sentence over here for IMNN, I'm not in this until it breaks 120. I'm not in. I'm waiting for you to go in too. I'm not in before that, right? I am not in before that. Yeah, yeah. I took ASST too, right? I took ASST too at the 10.55 break. I'm not in before that. I think if you guys see, I mentioned that the ASST trade wasn't a big win, right? I was close to flat, depending on how you guys manage your dips and whatnot. But for me, it was like close to flat, right? It was small green, small red, I can't remember, but it was close to flat, right? So when I say this 10.55 break over here, okay, when I say 10.5 break over here, right? I'm not in before that. I'm waiting for this to break out as per the breakout strategy that I post before I get in. Right. And I think I also told you guys that I was gonna play dips, right? And I took dips at $10. But and if you notice ASST, went all the way up from that, right? To right here. Yep, there we go. So ASST 1055 break hit 1090s, right? Went all the way down. I told you guys I was added more at $10, which brought my average down to around 1020s, right? And this thing hit 1090s after, which is, you know, could have still be green and stuff, right? I was hoping for a holiday breakout move, but that didn't happen. And then we rejected this PM high over here. Price went down. I closed off the rest of my position. So it was kind of just flat for me overall. Right? It wasn't like a big win or anything like that. But I don't misunderstand. I'm not in this. Okay. There's a reason why some plays I say breakout, right? Some plays I'll tell you guys I'm just directly adding it around this over here. If I'll tell you guys I'm adding it stuff, right? Like over here, okay? Because I'm waiting for the breakout. It's like this, right? It's like this. It's like this over here for okay. It's like this over here for I'm in, right? If I didn't add this sentence over here, I'm waiting for the 120. I'm not in it. I'm waiting for it to break out. Same thing for LTRY. I am not in this. I'm waiting for this to break before I take my entry. But this never happened, right? So there's no play. I'm letting you guys know I'm watching this breakout over here. That's it. I'm not in this beforehand. If I'm in this, I'll let you guys know. Right? Like this one over here. I'm not in this. But if volume starts to go, I'll wait for the 110 breakout, which happened really nice. Yeah. So don't get the this is a pretty don't misunderstand. I am not in it. I'm waiting for the breakout. So breakout plays are generally we're all really getting in together, right? I'm not in it yet. I'm waiting for it to break like all of you guys over here, and then respect the plan. I'll talk a little bit more about this I'm in stuff, okay, later. But this is essentially what I mean. Okay, there I'm not in beforehand. If I'm in beforehand, I will tell you guys I'm in at 60s, 70s. Okay, I'm not gonna be like, oh shit. All right, hi there. How do you determine the exact price to watch out for the breakout with extreme accuracy? Um, so let's look at the let's look at IMNN for example. Okay, let's look at IMNN for example. Right. So again, not all breakout plays or not all breakout levels that I call out is going to be accurate. Sometimes they don't work out, right? I don't want you guys to think that it's always going to be that simple where you guys can easily call out good breakout levels and easily call it a day, right? Or you can always nail it, right? Because I have problems. Right, sometimes my breakout plays don't go well, right? I mean, the ASST 1055 breakout wasn't smooth, right? We had to play dips. We did bounce back up to the 1090s again, but it wasn't like a big move. And it happens, right? It's how you manage your risk after. And the one thing why I like breakout plays is because if let's say we take a play like IMNN, all right, and you see it go from 55 cents to 113, okay? Or rather over here, right? If you wait for dips over here, right, you will miss the move to 140 plus one close to 150. Because there is no dips for you. Make sense? There is no dips for you. Right? And just because you missed the move, you missed an entry at 55 cents, doesn't mean you cannot enjoy the move up. Right? So that's why breakout plays comes in mind. Because if I were to take my entries over here at 62 cents, right? Maybe my stop loss is at 52 cents. We take Frankie's call, for example, because he called it pretty early before the move happened, right? Let's say he called this at 53.5, stop loss under 49 cents, right? But if you're taking this at 107, can you have a break? Can you have your stop loss under 49 cents? I don't think it makes sense. That's so wide. That's close to a 50% stop loss. And we don't ever want to put ourselves in this kind of position. Right? But so the question now is how do I know, right? Or how do I know where to put my stop loss then? Right? That's where, finding key level breakouts will help you guys with creating a new structure, right? For a trade. We take this for example. Okay, let's say if I just draw a simple trend line like this. All right. So you know that a chart trades like that. Okay. Okay, like that, right? Let's say this thing breaks out. Okay, so you take your entry over here, for example, and your stop loss will be underneath here, right? Okay, your stop loss will be underneath this level. Okay, but let's just say it goes up. It goes up all the way. Okay, and then it started forming another flag pattern. For example, all right, it started forming another flag pattern like that. Does it make sense for you? And then let's say this thing breaks out again, right? Okay, so now let's just say that this price over here is 10 cents. This over here is 90 cents. So it's up more than 600%. Okay. Would you add over here? Let's say add over here on this breakout, right? But will your stop loss to be here, or will it be here right now? It will be here, right? Because what you're trading is the structure. What you're trading over here is this structure right here. And for new structures to form, you need time. Right? It doesn't mean that you cannot, but you see, if let's say this thing doesn't work out, right? I mean, you're taking a normal size loss or even a small size loss if you're going small. It's not like you're having your stop loss here, right? You're having your stop loss here. So it's still the same, you see? Even though this plays up 100%, but when you're trading this over here, you're just focusing on this structure right here. You're not focusing on this overall picture. So look, I did not take this play because I wasn't awake, right? I didn't see this. So, and I didn't want to chase it. But then when I saw a structure form, I have my own. Look at this. How much risk is this? This is at 10 cents. This is 10 cents. It's 9% over here. It's a 9% risk, right? If this trade doesn't work out, you take a 9% loss on the trade, not on your account, right? You take a 9% loss on the trade. But you see, but this move, right, happened from 44 cents to $1. So that's close to 100% move so far. But I'm still able to, get a piece of the pie, right? Of risking 9% on the trade, right? Not off your portfolio, right? Just taking a 9% loss if the trade doesn't work out, right? 9% loss on the trade, right? And I still got a very nice move to 140, 150, close around there. Because I focus on the new structure. So that's where the question comes in, right? Where do you look for structures then? So I always tell you guys, you want to look left. Right, you always want to look left, right? You want to look left. You want to look for, because all these small caps over here, they used to be very expensive. Okay, they used to have a lot of price action. So as they go down from here, okay, onto here, right? Let's say the price is here right now. Okay, let's say the price is here right now. This was the previous price. On the way down, there is going to be patterns of action that you can draw across to find your points of interest, right? Blah blah blah, or whatnot, whatever. Because again, all small caps used to be expensive, and then because the company's shit, that's why overall the price goes down, right? So if you look to the left over here, there is so much levels you can kind of play around with. And then specifically for me, 110 is a big level because if you look at this, right? If you look at the structure, okay, every single time, so it's not really 110, it's this one, 108. Now, see, this 108 level, okay, if I just look at the overall, right? The hardest rejection happens over here, right? Happens over here as well. But this is a very hard rejection. Again, we have a couple of rejections over here as well. Not the greatest, but this caught my attention. I mean, this is a very hard rejection, right? If I were to look left over here, this to me is 108. And I like to round up my numbers. I like to round up my numbers. So, and you see right here, right? This is another one, right? Another rejection, right? See that? These are all very big. So 108, this is a big key level. It's a point of interest. So what this tells me is that whenever a price hits around this level, right, we will see a little bit of rejection. So let's look at, let's see how this thing actually looks like on the 1 minute chart before on the move up. So you guys can clearly see that as price hits the level there, initially on this move up, right? Because this thing is breaking out. We did break out a little bit, but it was a long way. And this thing just keeps moving up. So we needed to see another form of reset. We need to see another form of reset, right? We need to see some consolidation happening. We need to see some pullbacks, right? Before we can look for a breakout level again. I mentioned this to you guys before. When I say a breakout of something, but if a price goes from, let's say, $1 over here. Oh, sorry, 1 second. All right, if a price goes from $1 to $5 and I say breakout is 520, I want to see pullback first and consolidation before we break the 520. Because if it just breaks through 520 after making a move from 1 to 5, how much juice, how much more gas does this thing have to go up? It needs to pull back, it needs to reset, right? It's kind of like you guys, right? If you guys are exercising or whatnot, you guys need to take a break. You guys can't constantly be doing 1,000 push-ups in one setting. You need sets, right? You need to rest, you need to reset, you need to do like break it down to different sets. So same thing, right? If a price continues to keep going up with any sort of significant pullback, it's going to be very dangerous, right? The breakout might not have enough juice, right? Imagine, just think about this, right? If you guys do 20 push-ups right now and you guys don't take a break, right? You guys do 20 push-ups again, is it going to take longer, or do you think you'll be able to complete the 20 push-ups next? All right, slowly over time, you wouldn't probably be able to do 10 if you don't take breaks, right? I mean, you don't have rest, right? So the equivalent of this is waiting for price to pull back to touch into certain key points of trends on the 1 minute chart right now, because we're looking at this on the initial move. And if you can see this over here, we've got a very nice trend line bounce on the 21 EMA trend line, right? Now, this is not something that's applicable to all tickers, okay? But understanding the trend, understanding how the price action is reacting to, right? It's going to help you guys with it. So over here, price has attempted a very good move, which puts this on our radar, right? And you can see that clearly 108 has been a significant level. Look at that, right? Right to a point, right? Now price goes all the way down and started consolidate over here. Attempted to break out again, couldn't. Price went down. Okay, so over here, this is where, okay, you know what? Things are not looking so good. We haven't really broke 108, but it doesn't seem like we have enough juice for it. But if you look left, if you see the pattern over here, price initially tried to break out, pull back to the 20-minute trend line, and the big breakout move happened, right? So if we understand trend and pattern, right? Price pulled back to the 20-minute trend line, form a hammer candle again, volume came in, right? This is where I'm like, okay, you know what? Now, price has reset, has rested, tested the 20-minute trend line, which shown a pattern of bouncing off it. Let me try for the 110 breakout right now. Look at the time of the alert. This was at 8:58, right? Why? It's because it's right here. So this candle. It's because I see a trend reset. My stop loss is going to be underneath what? The 21 EMA trend line. Because this is my trend. And you can see. There's no need to panic just because it was touching this. There you go. I told you guys this, right? Stop loss under 105. Look at that. Yeah? Stop loss under 105, right? Trend in the breakdown, and there you go. So, but you see, many people are afraid. They don't want to be adding up here thinking that, oh shit, I should have added this at 50 cents. Right now it's 90 cents. Oh my God, it's go crazy high. It's up 100% already. But as I gave you guys the example just now, who cares? While we're trading over here, we're focusing on this structure. I don't care whatever happened before that, right? Because if stocks go, there's a limit to how high a stock go, right? Then how do we explain all these like 800-900% moves? There's always a chance for you guys to take a piece of the pie. But if let's say this trade doesn't work out, I cut it, 10-cent loss, I give it. It's fine. And it's not only just 10-cent loss, right? As the week continue going up, I raise my stops up. So in the end, if let's say this trade doesn't work out, I'm flat. Sure, it's fine. I'll look for another entry again. It's cool. It's all right. Doesn't matter, right? So this is how you manage risk, right? Some people may not want to be adding up here because they think, oh, it's up so much already. But if this thing goes to $2, then your FOMO kicks in and you buy it too. I mean, that's just stupid, right? I traded this over here because I had a new structure forming. And I couldn't have had a new structure forming unless I let the stock play out. And this is something you guys got to have patience, right? Do not overtrade. Don't trade every single candle you see. Right? Let it settle down, let it play out. Okay, yeah. So that is, I just pretty much answered, how how I watch the breakout with extreme accuracy. And I wouldn't say extreme accuracy. It's just that I just focus on what key levels are, and also not only that, I focus on where the volume is at, right? Because if I have even if I have if I have 5 tickers, right, they're all testing breakout levels, okay? But there's the only one ticker has good volume, then obviously the other 4, even if they break out, they might not have the volume to push through for bigger moves because the volume isn't there. So it's not only just identifying levels, but you gotta understand where the volume is gonna flow to. All right. So would it be possible to have watched this in the morning with the criteria looking for a ticket entry before the entry is given? Things changes test. All right. I can give you guys a watch list, but the thing is, things changes. Sometimes, okay, I may think that this looks good, but then if I start to see something else that's flowing, then even if this thing is about to test breakout, I probably wouldn't take it. Yeah, so it's very situational. Yeah, it's not something where it's gonna be like that. It means it's gonna be like that throughout the entire time. So it's low and possible. I can give you guys just a brief watch list of tickers I'm watching, right? Because but you see the thing is, if again, right, if I would give you guys like just watch this over here, like that, okay. If I would, sorry, shit, where's my? If I give you guys a watch this over here, I'll be like ASST. I'm watching 10-20 hold, 10-50 breakout, blah blah blah. It might change an open. Even if let's say it hits 10-20, if I see that the volume flow isn't good, I might not take it. But some of you guys over here might not know it, right? So I might as well just stick to me actually taking entries and letting you guys know. What technical indicators do you use for entries and exits? So for me, this is my technical indicators. All right. So I try to keep trading very simple. I think so over here. I think if you have a lot of you can ignore the MACD, right? But I think if you have a lot of information on a chart, you tend to be making very you will have this thing called analysis paralysis, right? Because you have too much information. Maybe this set of indicators tells you it's bullish, but maybe another set of indicators tells you it's bearish, right? So there is no hard and fast rule. There is no, this is the right way to do things. It's just if you adopt this strategy over here, how consistent can you be, right? How profitable can you be? Okay, I don't say that my win rate is 100%, right? I take losses too. Even that day I showed you guys that I had a 40% win rate, but I was still profitable because of how I manage my risk and stuff, right? So it just depends on how you backtest your strategy and how consistent you can be. That's the most important thing, I think, right? But yeah, if you want to just know directly what I use, then 21 EMA trend line, 50 EMA trend line, right? 200 EMA trend line, right? So these are my 3 lines that I have. I have VWAP, and that is pretty much all I use. Yeah, that's all. I don't use Bollinger. I don't use Fibonacci. Where people asking me how do you identify your levels? Is it Fibonacci? Nope. I don't use Fibonacci. I don't use Bollinger bands. I don't use SMAs. Right? I just use these 4 lines over here. That's it. I mainly focus on price action and also the trend, basically the overall volume trend for today. And these are things that indicators will not tell you. Yeah, MACD, I just put it here for fun. I used to have it when I first started out. So it's kind of like you know, like a way to keep me grounded. Like you remember about when I first started and stuff. Yeah. So these are the technical indicators I use, right? I mainly, focus on EMAs, right? The 21, 50, 200 EMAs, looking at the trend line, looking at, like, as I showed you guys an example just now with IMNN, right? Looking at patterns and stuff. Okay, obviously this is something that's not going to happen all the time. Sometimes it may even just bounce off a little bit and breaks down. But I know my structure. I have a plan. If it breaks 110, I take it. If it doesn't work out, I cut it. This is just part of trading, right? If you enter a trade and it doesn't work out, okay, but you had a clear plan to it, that's a win. But if you enter a trade not knowing what's going to happen, you don't have a stop loss plan, and even if it doesn't work, and if it doesn't work out, I mean, you're cooked, because sometimes you might even be holding this on thinking it's going to recover because you don't know what's going on, right? I know I was very clear on this, right? I know for a fact that if the price break down this over here, I have no business in this anymore. But people who are lost, they don't know what they're doing, right? They'll continue holding, even though this thing is overall bearish, right? Think it's going to recover. Sometimes these stocks may just continue dropping all the way down, and you end up, taking very big losses. Yeah. I am unable to participate in the call due to uncertainty regarding optimal entry. Stocks really often is picking. So Kowalski, I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm unable to participate in the call due to uncertainty regarding optimal entry and exit points. My observation indicate that well, you're talking like a bot, bro. My observations indicate that the stock is often already at its peak or experiences rapid declines on my involvement. It happens, right? I mean, look, you see, adding a stock when you're adding a stock when it's up, if you're adding a stock when it's up 100%, right? There will be pullbacks. So it's up to you, right? I'm not telling you to take it, okay? But I understand that this is the only ticker that's moving at the point of time. The volume is insane, right? If you want to trade anything, you trade this. It's foolish to be trading anything else, right? And if you tell me, the optimal entry point, right? This was directly given right at the breakout level itself. But do we add over here? No, we add the next candle. There was more than enough time for you to be adding this. We never lost trend before it hit the 140 something level, right? If we look at this over here at the EOD as well, I gave you guys this plan for IMNN. 4 minutes, all right? 4 minutes before market closes. So it's either you guys take the 120 break in after hours or 113 at the point of time, you stop under 105, $1. But if there's no flow, you can cut it quick too, right? And this was given over here at 304, 356 right here. Okay, you can see that it was at 113, right? And then what happened? Boom. If you want to wait for the after hours flow, 120 breakout, right? That works out too, right? That works out too. 120 break, 170. So I don't know what you mean by it's already at its peak, because this was clearly not its peak when the alert was given, right? And if you're saying that it's at its peak, maybe because I learned something and you're seeing it maybe like 5-6 minutes later, then you might want to restart your phone so that you don't have a notification delay. But I think I mentioned this before because I'm a momentum day trader. I think if you guys want to follow my alerts or even stay, trading my alerts and stuff, it's best for you to not wait for notifications, but have a screen open at my channel so that you can get the fastest alert on immediately, right? Because this is basically how the timing is going to be like, right? It's almost immediate, right? If I were to add something over here, all right, I'm just gonna be okay, blah blah blah. Buy this at $1, $2, okay. Stop loss under at cent. I'm gonna press send. It's gonna just show up immediately. So there is no delay, right? If you wait for notifications, sometimes maybe there might be a little bit delay, but if you're staying in the channel, right, you're just gonna get the alerts immediately. All right, obviously you will not have the same entries as I do, because again, I trade low floaters. Tickers are just gonna be pushing up, right? But I do not sell on the first candle alert. I said this many times before. And if it's breakout plays, we're all getting in together, not in before that. So yeah. What is the most important indications do we need on our chart? Okay, look, there is, again, like I said, there is no indication, right? There is no indication there is no important indication. It's what works for you. For me, what works is this. I've back tested this stuff over here, right? And I've made it work for myself. Some of you guys over here might perform better with SMA. Some of you guys over here might perform better with using the 9 EMA and 10 EMA. Some of you guys might perform better using Fibonacci, okay? And maybe you guys perform better using MACD. But this is what works best for me. I've back tested it. It works. So there's no need for me to change it, right? It might not work out for you, okay? It might not work out for you, okay? And these are, I wouldn't say it's important, right? I would say if we really talk about important, I think VO is a very important indicator to have. EMAs, MACD, not really that important, right? EMAs, you can use SMA if you want. MACD, you don't have to use that. You can use the RSI if you want, or you don't even want to use it. You can don't use it too, because I personally don't use it, right? But I would say that VO is very important, right? For EMAs, I know there are many choices. It's up to you. You gotta back test it. But popular ones, I would say, are the 21, 50, 9, right? 100, 200 EMA, right? These are all very popular numbers that people use. and stuff. We're gonna try it out before you know, right? You're gonna try it out on what works best for you. But if you're just purely sharing what I'm using, then these are the ones I use. I use 4 lines, 2150, 200, VWAP, and that's it. Hello, I have good entry level, but make me small green, and then when I do another trade, it goes red. At this time, fear comes to me. Is there any idea? I think this is more of a psychological issue. You should speak to the psychologist with regards to this, right? I think there's a ticket open right now. You only enable 5 sessions. So you just go over here, book a session. What the hell is this? Book a session, right? And then speak to the person about it. Speak to our psychologist about it. Okay? That's more of a psychology issue. I have a good entry, but make me small green, and then when I do another trade, it's go red. I think it's because okay, so besides, and if you have a fear, then this is a psychology issue, right? But if you have a good entry level on a trade, it goes green, and then you re-enter again, and it becomes red, right? I would honestly, if you're green on the trade and you want to re-enter it, you should already be in control of your losses. You should already know that if this doesn't work out, you have a choice to either break even or give back all your profits. Because look, if I'm in on this trade, right, let's just say I'm in over here. If let's say my first trade, okay, I have a profit, like based on this scenario, right? My first trade, I got a profit of, let's say, $100. Okay, my first trade, I got a profit of $100. So I already, I'm really in a good foothold over here for this trade. Right? I'm really in a good foothold over here for this trade, right? Now the second trade is if I were to re-enter again, all right, and let's say I know that if I'm entering this at maybe 150, and I know that I want to stop under 130, right? Which puts me at a risk of under 20 cents, but for calculation, we just say 20 cents, right? Let's say this is the second entry over here. Look, you see, you already know you have $100 of profits. And if this trade doesn't work out, you'll be losing 20 cents a share. If I were to buy 100 shares over here, if this trade doesn't work out, I will lose $20. Look, I'm in control of my trades. I'm in control of my second entry over here. If you tell me that your first trade is green, and then when you go another trade, and if it's the same ticker, right, then you're not controlling your risk, I would say. You're not controlling your risk at all. Right? But when the fear comes over you, then this one you have to speak to a psychologist for it. We have it in the room, right? You just go open the ticket and speak to her. Yeah. But this over here, okay, it's how you manage your risk. But I'm in control, like I said. I have a choice. I could want to risk everything on my first trade, right? So that means that I could afford 500 shares over here, right? If it doesn't work out, 500 times 20 cents is gonna be $100. So basically, I'll give back everything. But it's cool. It's part of my plan. I accept it. But if your plan is to only risk maybe $50, right? Half of your profits from the first trade, then you can afford 250 shares over here. So you know that if whatever happens, if it doesn't work out, you're still going to be green 50. Right? And you see, I am able to know this because whenever I take a trade, I gotta have 3 things. Or rather, the 2 more important things is my entry, and with respect to that, my stop loss. That's where I can have my risk. Right? And then from there, I know how to adjust my risk. I know how to manage my risk from there. Because if you don't have it, you're just randomly buying and selling. There is no strategy. There is no system in place. How do I keep my winners running? What's a good sign of exit? Good exit sign. Basically, if it loses, a trend or EMA or whatnot, that's good. But I think, it's a very bad habit for you guys to think that every single play is going to go to 500%. I keep saying that, right? The overall money is still being made on your base hits first, and then if the trend doesn't break down, you can leave the rest more. All right, like if we take this for example, right? We take IMNN for example. Okay, so clearly on this overall trend over here, right? If let's say we enter on this 110 breakout, okay, we enter on this initial 110 breakout, a little IMNN. Right here, right? So this was given at 8:58 a.m. Eastern. So right over here, this breakout happens. So we add the next candle. Stop loss is underneath $1 as per the plan. But you can see, I know that my trend is a 20 EMA trend line. So I take some profits on the 120 because I know that's a big level. Price pulls back over here at 109. I'm not afraid. I'm just trading the chart. Price doesn't break down from this 20 EMA trend line. Ride it up. So this is how you can leave your runners. And then if it breaks down, right, that's where your current structure is done. and you have to look for a new structure to form, right? So that you can have another trade again. All right. There are some times where maybe, the price breaks down to this 21 MA trend line. Okay. And then it does this, it does this, it might, right? But you see, at this point, the 21 MA trend line, if it breaks down from it, okay. At this point, if it breaks down from the 21 MA trend line, if it breaks down from it, this is at 118. Our entry is what? 1-1. And we've taken profits too. You don't have to worry then. Just set your stop loss and your entry and let the market do the work for you then. Right? There is no indicator that will tell you how high the stock's going to go, how low the stock's going to go, where is the exact bounce. There is no indicator like that. Because I can tell you one thing, if there is an indicator like that, everyone will be using that. Right? EMAs, VWAP, all this bullshit. Right? Why not I have an indicator to tell me where to buy, where to sell? That's much better, right? But there's no such thing as that. So the how to keep winners running, first things first is secure basics first, and then on the runners, right? Or rather how much shares you have left or comfortable holding for more, ride the trend until it breaks down. That's the best. Because at the end of the day, when you trade small caps, your focus should be on the chart, not the P&L. So Nuntium bot is basically a volume scanner in the trading chat. It's not buy or sell alerts for you guys. All right. It's basically to get your attention onto these stocks. Sometimes when the news pops, right? When the news pop, it does actually go crazy. But at times it will do stuff like this, right? I think on Friday, Nuntium popped on CRO. It went from like 43 to 63. You think this is going crazy. You add it, makes new lows, right? So if you're buying it off the news pop and stuff, okay, especially if there is no catalyst or there's a certain catalyst with a clear theme in the market. Maybe, for example, for the past few weeks, Bitcoin news has been running really hard, right? And if let's say there's a ticker that drops Bitcoin news, right? It's a low floater, former runner stuff. You may slap it just off the news, right? You gotta understand the theme of the market. But if there's no news on the stock, it just starts running randomly, just on the volume, then you might want to be a little bit more careful, right? The Nuntium bot is a volume scanner / news scanner. It's not for you to buy just because it popped up, right? It's not a buy alert signal. Okay, it's just a scanner. That's it. I've had a stop loss. I've had a hard stop loss of 5% for years. Is that too strict or can I loosen up a bit? Yeah, no, I think you should be flexible with your stop loss. A wider stop loss basically means smaller size. A tighter stop loss basically means bigger size, right? Because it's still gonna be the same amount of risk. You see, if I have let's say a 20 cents risk, right? And let's say my risk allows me to only lose $100, for example. Okay. Then for me, I can afford 500 shares. But so this is it, right? If I have a 20 cents risk and I have $100 and that equates to $100, I want to lose $100 or I can only afford to lose $100, then I can afford 500 shares, sorry. But if I have a 40 cents risk, right? And I still want to keep my risk the same. Remember, we just because there's bigger risk doesn't mean you have to lose big, right? You're in control of how much you lose. You should be in control of how much you lose, right? So, but if I have 40 cents risk, then I can only afford 250 shares because eventually, okay, the amount of the loss that I take, right? Whether it's a 40 cents risk or a 20 cents risk, the loss should still amount the same. I should still only lose $100. But this is not talking about playing around dips, right? I'm just saying like if you just want to add one shot, you don't want to play around dips, then the concept is pretty simple. Bigger risk, smaller size. Smaller risk, bigger size. Risk level, still the same. And you should always just have your stop loss based on the chart, right? James, you should never have a stop loss based on what 5% and whatnot, because the chart is what moves the stock, right? You're trading technical analysis. When you trade, you make the decisions because of technical analysis, because of technical analysis, because of the chart. You don't make decision because your P&L tells you, hey, I need to make $50 today. Let me buy in right now. What other structures to look out for besides the flag formation for breakouts? Okay, so to be honest, for me, I try not to trade too many structures. I think it's good for you to be good at one or two setups and just repeatedly execute that. You don't have to know everything. I don't know everything. If you ask me, do I know how to use Fibonacci? I can tell you right now, I don't know. Do I know how to use Bollinger Bands? To me, I can tell you, I don't know, right? And I don't care to identify them myself because so far, whatever I'm practicing on is working out, right? So I don't need to change anything. Might need to tweak it sometimes a little bit to fine tune it, but I don't have to hard change everything, right? So if flag formation breakout is what gives you the highest success rate, then just focus on that. Anything else that you see, right, is that it's not a flag breakout formation, then don't take it. It reduces you taking unnecessary trades. It reduces you taking from over trading too. Right? For structure, what is the time frame? It depends on what you're looking at. Intraday, I'm looking at 1 to 5 minute. Then if I'm looking at key levels, 4-hour daily weekly chart. To clarify okay, so when I say off monitors, that just means that I wouldn't be around to update, right? If it hits the levels or the plans that I give you guys, please sell off and manage on your own. That's all. All right. Curious, how long did it take for you to be successful in small cap trading? 2.5 years. I think I started to see consistency after 2.5 years. I used to be for those of you guys who don't know, I used to be trading, I used to be like all of you guys over here, right? Um I was in I was trading with many people, I was jumping between Discord servers and stuff, right? My first Discord server I remember was this server called Absolute Swings, which was run by this guy called Mini and Flooded. And then they created a new server and stuff, right? But that was way back in 2020, And then after that, I didn't really like the way they did things. So I left the group and then started this my own. But 2.5 years is where I've start to see consistency. Obviously, it's 2.5 years of dedicated time. Yeah, it's 2.5 years of dedicated time. It's not like on and off and whatnot. Do you have a stock screener that you use, Justin? Yes, the stock screener is in the Discord. Okay, right? So this is pretty much all I use, right? Again, look, you see, a good volume scanner in the stock market, right? If you pay for trade ideas or scans and whatnot, right? Let me show you guys this, okay? If I were to go to scans, okay, this is a good volume scanner. I used to use this before, right? This is gonna cost you, okay? I mean, scanners are very important, right? Because it helps you shortlist the amount of tickers you need to watch for the day. It's gonna cost you 197 a month. Okay, if we look at trade ideas, I don't really like trade. This one's a little bit not so user friendly. It's well, the cheapest is $89 a month, right? But if you don't want to have your own scanner, these are all tweaked, right? These are all tweaked. Okay, all these Noon bot stuff. All these are inside the trading chat, right? Because this is the fastest people are, making the decision on trades immediately and stuff. They want to slap the news sometimes, right? And this is a volume scanner here. So you don't have to have additional scanners. You don't have to pay subscription for your scanners. You can just stick to this. This is pretty much all I use right now as well, by the way. So I don't have to subscribe to any other scanners at all. How fast do you execute your entry exit when it goes against you? It's pretty quick. I'm show you guys how quick it is, right? So just for example, let's do a playback, okay? So okay, I'm just do a quick simple example, yeah. So let's just say if so this is my trading setup, right? So I think I mentioned this before. Before you start trading, make sure you got a good trading setup. If not, you're just gonna be very slow in your executions, right? So right here, if let's say I enter a position, I want to enter a position, I'll press buy. It's gonna fill. And if let's say I'm watching it, if it goes south very quickly, I'll just press this and it's gonna sell. It's that quick, basically. All right, it's that quick. There is no like, oh, you gotta, because I know there are certain people who trade on your phone. I keep saying do not trade on your phone, right? But some people, let's say if you guys are actually in a position, let's say you guys have a position, right? If it doesn't go your way, some of you guys have to go to like, oh shit, it doesn't go my way, right? Let me type the ticker out, let me do this, right? Let me do this, right? Let me do this, let me do this. Sometimes you might really be caught in a hold down. But if I'm looking at this, I see it's dropping rapidly, I can get out quick. Right? I don't need to wait. I don't need to, do all this kind of stuff. I can get out super quickly. Yep. So it's very quick, right? But this is why I stress the importance of having a good trading setup. This is why I stress the importance of you guys having good brokers. This is why I stress the importance of you guys trading on your PC. You know, some of you guys don't listen. There's not much I can do, right? But you need that, all right, if you want to day trade. It's just a line I drew. It's based on the daily chart levels. That's it. I noticed it at 55 cents IMNN, but how we get to know entry we can make, it was already at 40, from 40 to 55 at the time. What indicator? Again, there is no indicator, right? If the indicator you use tells you that this is bullish, go for it. For me, I see this testing the 200 trend line, nice weakening of VWAP, right? Super bullish breakout of this rejection level here, resistance level here. Look at that, right? I would have probably taken my entries over here on this pullback at 60s, right? And have my stop loss underneath the 21 EMA trend line. I could do that too. This is my setup, right? You just have to respect it. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it might not work. Vika, you cannot, don't, assume that every single time it's going to work out. Okay, there is no such thing as an indicator that tells you 100% right. This is the best way to do things. You have a setup, you see it playing out, you take it, don't ask questions, respect the plan if it doesn't work out. What is the best international broker? Probably IBKR. When we see news pop by Newtable, it's really it's algorithms, buying on the news as well, right? The fucking hedge fund Pro, Benzinga Pro, they probably get like faster news pop and stuff, probably like by 15, 20 seconds, I don't know. But I don't really care about trading news pops and stuff because, I mean, sometimes they are not reliable. So I don't really care too much about that. The use level 2, not as much. On a typical day, how many trades are you taking? Generally less than 10 or around 10, right? But I think on Friday last week, I only made like 3. And so I think it was all good too, right? I think the first trade I made was in the morning with the IMNN, right? The first trade. And then second trade I took was PMAX, which worked out well, 90s to 1 plus, 1.1. And then the third one was IMNN, and that's it. Can you teach us on Thinkorswim and what screen you use to sell so quickly? Can you teach us on Thinkorswim and what screen you use to sell so quickly? It's called Active Trader. All right, so you just go over to your chart section. Okay, go to Active Trader and have your button set up. Should be able to buy and sell pretty quickly as well. Yep. Yeah. See, I'm using Turbo Trader on Webull. For those of you guys who are using Webull, the same feature that you guys can access is called Turbo Trader, right? And it's basically it's a game changer. You see, it's because it allows super quick executions. Right? You gotta click on this Active Trader over here. Right? You click on charts, right? Go to Active Trader. Or if not, you can go to trade, right? And then you click on this Active Traders thing over here. You can type the ticker symbol that you want, and it's gonna automatically give you that layout. But I prefer to do it from the chart section because I've always been doing this way. Okay, all right. So I think this is pretty much it. Left with 5 more minutes. You guys learned something here. And any other questions? Any other final question before I wrap it up? Okay. All right. If not, enjoy the long weekends, guys. Friday we closed off really nicely, especially with the EOD move for IMNN. Very happy about that. But you can see I don't use level 2. Like I said, I don't use it as much. Okay. I don't honestly, if you really ask me, I really personally don't use it, right? But yeah. But hey, you see, I have my first trade for IMNN, right? I want to emphasize on not over trading. My first trade on IMNN right here, 110 at 858. Second trade on IMNN was 6 hours later. Yes. So if you gotta wait 6 hours, right? If you gotta wait 6 hours or 2 hours or 4 hours for re-entries, please wait for it. It's much better than randomly taking bullshit moves, right? Less is more. Okay, there's no need for you guys to overtrade. Okay, if not, enjoy the long weekends, guys. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Cheers.